Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Anne and today I'm giving you my December wrap up. It feels a bit weird to be filming this now because I've just filmed my favorites of 2021 and my reading plans for 2022. So I'm kind of all about wrapping up 2021 and just moving on into the new year now. But I do still want to film my December wrap up because I've done one for every month of the year and I'm not just going to stop now. So I don't know when this is going to go up, but for completion's sake, here is my December wrap-up. The first book I finished in December is a very popular book. It's also the book that sold most last year in the bookshop that I work at, which is a fun fact. And it's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. This is a book full of illustrations basically and heartwarming quotes about life, about friendships, about what it's like being human or being a person and just going through life. I gave it 4 stars. It was beautiful. I really liked the drawings. I did think it would have been fun if there had been a bit more of a overarching narrative, of a storyline going through this, and right now it felt a little bit random at times, but it was a fun read. It was heartwarming. I don't really have much more to say about it than that. Next up there's The Red Notebook by Paul Auster, which was the last book on my 10 books I have to read in 2021 list, and I'll leave a link to my wrap up of that list and of all my other reading plans of 2021 up above and down below. This is a collection of essays, interviews, prefaces, general wonderingments by Paul Auster. He is an author I find very fascinating. I wrote my bachelor dissertations on his New York trilogy. I think he has a very interesting mind. I love the way his mind works, how he writes literature. That also shown through in this book. There were some things in here that I wasn't really that interested in. There were some prefaces to collections of French poetry that really dove into French poetry and didn't have anything to do with Paul Auster. I have to admit I skipped some of that because I just thought this isn't something I want to read. This isn't something I'm interested in. But the interviews and the essays were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed those a lot. I learned a lot about how he views literature, how he thinks literature not should be written, but how he approaches literature and what writing means to him. And I thought that was very well done and I enjoyed it a lot. The next book I finished was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is also the book that I read for the final prompt of the Buzzword Reading Challenge, which was to read a book with a day or a month or a season, something like that in the title. This had the word season, so I figured it fits. This is the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy and it's about a world where natural disasters happen quite often and people are more or less used to having to start over. Having to start entire cities, entire communities over because of these disasters, such as big earthquakes, erupting volcanoes, things like that. And there are also certain people with special abilities. These people are called origines and they can manipulate the earth. So they can either stop and prevent earthquakes and things like that from happening, or they can start them. So these are very powerful people and they are both useful and dangerous. And because of that, they are treated very differently from other people. They are kind of used as slaves, more or less, but at the same time, people are also afraid of just how powerful they are. And if they find an origin within a community, usually it will not end well for that person. In this book we follow 3 different perspectives. One perspective happens while the world is basically ending because one person has decided things have to change and they decide to inflict a very big disaster, a very big earthquake that will be very difficult to recover from. So we follow one perspective in that time and then 2 perspectives from earlier in the timeline. The world building is absolutely magnificent. I really loved getting to know this world bit by bit, even though it was quite confusing at the start. When I found out there's an appendix at the back, which explains a lot of the terminology, that made things a lot easier, and I really should check more often if fantasy and sci-fi books have those appendixes. But I really loved the characters, I loved the world, I loved the exploration of discrimination and slavery and racism. I think it's all very well done. I love the writing style and this actually ended up in my 10 favorite books of the year. So if I have posted that video, I will leave a link up above and down below if you want to go and watch that. And I'm really excited to read the 2nd and 3rd book in the series now. The next book I finished was an audiobook and it was The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. I always like to read a Christmas book in December around Christmas, and this was the one I chose this year. I really like Jenny Colgan's books as well, so I was excited to find a book by her that I hadn't read yet. This is a book about Carmen and her sister Sophia, and it takes place in Edinburgh, where Carmen moves in with her sister because she has lost her job, and her sister has an opportunity for her because Carmen can work in a bookstore. She has to help kind of bring it around before Christmas because this bookshop is kind of going bankrupt and not selling very many books. And Carmen goes to work there even though she really doesn't want to be in debt to her sister, basically because they don't have a very good relationship. And there she meets the old man who is the owner of the bookshop, and together they start to bring around the bookshop, and Carmen decides to focus on Christmas for the bookshop, so she sells a lot of Christmas books, which was very fun. And in the meantime, she gets a better relationship with her sister and her sister's children, and there's also some romance going on, of course. It was just a lot of fun. It wasn't really all that special. I don't think I will remember much of it next year, but it was a fun book to listen to on my commute to work. And it was heartwarming, it was fun, it was festive, and it was a great book to listen to this Christmas season. And then on the final day of the year, I raced to finish my 75th book of the year, and it was Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. This is the third book in the Nevermore series, and I think it might be my favorite so far. Also, it is beautiful, and it definitely gave me Christmas vibes as well because of the colors. Nevermore is about Morgan Crow, who lives quite a sad life because she is a cursed child, and because of that she is kept away from everyone, and she is destined to die on her 11th birthday. But then she is whisked away by a very flamboyant and extravagant man called Jupiter North, and he takes her to the magical city of Nevermore, where she is entered into a competition to become part of the Wondrous Society. That's basically the plot of the first book, and I'm not going to tell you the plot of this one because I don't want to spoil anything for the first and the second book. I really loved this one. I really loved the themes it explores. It has quite some adult themes as well. It goes into discrimination and racism as well, and I love Morgan, I love the place that she lives, I love her friends. It was just heartwarming and nice to finish off the year with a book like this. And I really hope Silverborn, which is the fourth book, comes out in an edition that matches these ones quite soon. It has to come out still in any edition. I don't know when that will happen, probably this year. But then it will probably take a little while longer before it comes out in an edition that matches the ones I have. Which doesn't matter, I'm just excited to read it at some point. And that's it for my quite short wrap up of December. If you've read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments. What did you think of them? We could chat about it. What was your favorite book that you read in December? I'd love to hear about it. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me in the future. And have a wonderful day. Bye!